All right, a few other mentions. In the early days, some of Ridley's mountain crew, catering crew, came and looked after us with sandwiches and lunches and goods and treats. As Mika mentioned, the Curry Kitchen were amazing in cooking thousands of meals for the flood affected and the Mud Army, all the people that flocked into town to help with the recovery effort. We of course had the RFS, the Army, Disaster Relief Australia, Youth with a Mission, and a bunch of students from Warrane College in New South Wales. So a whole bunch of people just came out of the woodwork. Moving on to our technical tradespeople, there was obviously quite a lot of fingers in the pie here, and not all of them could be here today. But perhaps arguably, and if you just glance up and notice the gorgeous pendant lights that are hanging above your head, beautifully selected by Mika, there's one person that's responsible for this place being lit up, and it was quite a mission. It's a 97-year-old building with multiple generations of wiring and circuitry going on, and upstairs and downstairs and inside and outside. And there was one man who took on that challenge, and we're sitting here today, lit up and energised because of his work. So, David Cowan, please put your hands together. Thank you, mate, and I know we're not finished yet. But Dave is a perfectionist, and you'll see the precision in his work as you look around this building. Our fire system was recovered and restored by Todd Campbell from Dowse, along with his son Lockie. Our security system by Stuart Johnson. Joel Jensen Constructions, who was a local builder, was responsible for helping us install this fire-rated ceiling along with our fire doors and our new panelled ceiling in the clinics. And so yes, and his specialist tradie there was Steve Bauer of SB Linings, and he had a whole crew of guys. I won't name them all, but they did an amazing job, and we thanked them, and I'll thank them personally, of course. Along that path, obviously there's quite a lot of technical aspects to this rebuild, and we were really grateful and really appreciative of the consultancy support and guidance of John Henderson, who's with us in the audience there, sitting next to Ridley. So thank you, John, for your guidance, and particularly for your very assertive suggestion that we install another steel lintel and reinforcement frame around that brick wall in the kitchen. So pass on our thanks to Mark Pacini for us. Paul Murphy, Murph, where are you, good sir?
Not here.
Not here today. Valerie, you'll be able to take this personally back to him. Obviously Murph, with his 10 years of experience managing this building, was a great source of insight and knowledge as well. So, and of course I've said that to him already. A little shout out to our residents, and there's not many of them here, I think a few are here, but they've been patient. They've endured this process. It's been, they've had to listen to Brad's song list for a start, pumping out at 7 a.m. in the morning from down here. But, you know, grinders and floor sanders and jackhammers and all the rest of it. And fragrances, aromas, oil-based enamel paint, you know, and terps and varnish. And so we thank the residents for their patience through the whole process. In our Winsome family, so many of our Winsome family came and did whatever they could way back in the early days. Mel and Rod there, Leanne, who we nicknamed the Demolition Diva. She may have enjoyed the demolition part just a little bit too much. There's a famous photo of her and Ian up on ladders doing their nails together. Mika and Ridley are both captured on camera pushing a barrow and a shovel and a broom. Lindsay here, one of our regular volunteers, volunteered with us so many times. I remember the time you sat hands and knees on the floor of the nook pulling out staples with pliers. Do you remember that? He hasn't forgotten it. He's having nightmares. Thank you, Lindsay. And another big shout out to Mick Molino, one of our multi-skilled day managers, come school teachers, come rugby referee, come sugarcane farmer, come cattle farmer, come budding archaeologist. This guy was responsible for finding some great historical artefacts in the bowels of the building, including a rusty old ash bucket that we think was probably from the days when the fireplace used to work.
It's in my garden.
Mick has already claimed that. Filled with. And Mick also, on the day that, actually might have been a few days after you guys were pulling out staples, we were puzzled as to how old the render was in parts of this building that we were having to take down. And Mick managed to tease out a screwed up piece of newspaper that was inside this brick cavity and unfurled it to find that it was January 1975. So we concluded they must have put the render up after the 74 flood. And here we were taking it out after the next big one. Mick, thanks so much for all that you've done, all the time you put in, it's been great. Marty, our regular barista and well and truly part of our Winsome family, thank you too, mate. Done so much here and in our community projects. And don't shake your head at me. And Sharon, of course, Sharon had the double whammy of being impacted by the flood, both at home and in her workplace here. And she, you know, incredibly courageously and energetically sort of clawed her way back and has had a massive involvement here, from planning the design of the bar with Brad and obviously the kitchen and so many aspects of the building. And she's put the gloves on and scrubbed and pushed the barrow and pushed the broom just like so many others. So thank you, Sharon. I'm sorry, oh, here we go, sorry. A family from Kyogle who are here today, Sally and Sean Brosnan. Yes? Hello, right at the back, with Tom and Charlie. Fantastic. You folks, they gave up many Saturdays in the early days, March, April, May, I think, and came in here, the whole family, worked so hard. Incredible, so thank you so much. We're also blessed to have our little piece of those famous Fijians that became well known in Lismore for helping to rescue people from residents from the aged care homes and helping to get people out of the tinnies. And we had these massive double-door fridges that we just couldn't lift. Ridley says, no worries, makes a phone call to his mate at the casino Meatworks, and can you send some of your boys around? He said to me, how many seats have you got in your car? And I said, oh, 7. And he goes, righto, because after here we're going to go round to Mazza House down in South Lismore. When this guy walked around the corner, there was this Fiji in a front rower. It was about this wide, about that big. So Ridley had said, how many can you fit in your car? I said, 7. This guy walked around the corner, I said, cancel that, 3. But they were amazing. They just picked up those fridges, spun them on their finger and flicked them out the door. A number of our residents chipped in. Dave Blakeney chipped in when he could, despite some physical injury. Tony Batchelor, I want to give him a little shout out. He's there on the camera and he's been capturing, yeah, let's give him a round of applause. Dave's been capturing images and footage along the way, which he's been putting up on our Facebook site. And if you've missed it, you can catch him on YouTube under the Deaf Sound Man. So thanks, Dave. Tony. I've got a mate called Dave Batchelor, that's the problem. Also a little shout out to Nick, Paul and Tony. The three of them have bounced off each other and been the overnight caretakers for the whole 7 months, while our normal team of night managers have not been able to come in. So that's been an extra kind of burden on them. So thank you, boys. All right, on to our own work crew. We had a travelling trio that walked through the door at the most opportune time, you wouldn't believe it. Mika and I had a conversation one day and she said, we need to get more tradies. Where can we get more tradies to help us move this thing along? The next day, that door was open and Brad and I were in here and this guy walked around the corner, stuck his head in and said, do you need a hand? He said, yes. That fella's name was Matt and he brought his family Fiona and their beautiful kids. They were travelling up from Victoria on a caravan sort of homeschooling adventure. He was a chippy, trained chippy, so he jumped in, put the belt on and away we went. And a bunch of weeks later, he said, oh, I've got a mate who's coming as well. We said, oh yeah, is he any good at painting? He goes, oh, that's his A game. So Lee joined us and Tim as well. So the three fellas were incredible. And also Charlie and Jesse, who are Tim's sons. They were amazing. And we've communicated with them recently and they send their regards to everyone here at the rebuild. I want to shout out to Matt, who's unfortunately not able to be here today yet. We called him the chairman and there's a whole story behind that. But he's been a regular kitchen volunteer with us for a long time. Luke and Mike, two fellas who joined us in June and August respectively, also an amazing integral part of our team. Marco and Nathan were two that completed two of our community projects in South Lismore, 2 homes. And meeting them got us introduced to 2 guys up the back, Ben and Adam from Rusty Carpentry. Put your hands together for these chaps. They've been integral to particularly the finishing off of this place in the last month, but they've also completed 4 projects out in the community. So they've been our main sort of driving force out in the community, repairing people's homes. And they're doing an amazing job. And we've got another job ready to start tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah,
tomorrow, Sunday. Oh, Monday. Brendan is a fella that came through a connection with Mika, through a family connection, and we had various nicknames for him. The Enigma, the Phantom. Sometimes he'd arrive and you just weren't quite sure. But when he was here, he brought the Midas touch. And he was just incredible, gifted, talented, multi-skilled, and has he made it here today?
I haven't seen it.
I don't think so. Brendo was fantastic guy on the team, as was Gavin. And Gavin's been up in Queensland, so he may not have made it back in time. But I think Gavin must be Latin for gusto. He just had huge energy, amazing, big, larger than life. A couple of our residents, Steve Boyd came in really strongly these last few weeks, helping us finish off the painting, and has done an extraordinary job, and we thank him for all his efforts. And very finally, Paul, our sort of backbone resident here, if you like, looks after all the gardens and the outside and maintenance of the building. He has been rock solid support the entire time, just an amazing guy, steadfast, quiet achiever, doesn't make a fuss about anything, but he's always there, he's consistent, whether it's locking the gate when we've left it open or dragging my trailer inside the compound when I've left it out, to everything, to being on top of the fire system, panelling and coding and so on. So a huge thanks to Paul. You should have bought your egg timer today.
I was just thinking egg timer. I was just thinking it. I'll explain in a minute, or you can.
When it comes to art, I'm sure you've heard of Van Gogh, Picasso, Rembrandt, Renoir, Rodin, Matisse, Monet. Have you heard of Bradley? Everything in this room has this artist's fingerprints on it. We've tried to wipe them off, but he's left his mark, an indelible mark, and I'm actually glad that we can't rub it off. This bricklayer who hails from Melbourne, you can imagine his delight when the render that we didn't want to take down had to come down, and the gyprock that we really, were reluctant to sort of grab clumps of and pull away, revealed this beautiful Melbourne red brick. This guy was grinning ear to ear. So we're sort of mourning the demise of our cherished building, and he's rubbing his hands together like an artist with a blank canvas. I remember the day he said to me, Steve, we are going to polish these bricks. That's what we're going to do. There was no other option for Brad, and he envisioned what you see today. He saw it, and he's breathed life into it, and he has really been almost solely responsible for creating this absolutely beautiful ambient space. Of course, lots of other people have contributed so many different things, so many talents. But Brad brought passion, panache, vision, finesse, creative flair, and an instinct for this aesthetic charm. And he paired it perfectly with this pragmatism in selecting flood-resilient materials and techniques so that we can be more prepared for the next event. And this building hopefully will withstand any future event with greater resilience. So adding to the historic charm of this old Winsome Hotel, he's added his own artistic touches, like the herringbone brickwork you'll see in the doorway and under the windows over in the back of the building, back of the room there. And when we break for afternoon tea, come and have a poke around this room here. This is what we call the Brad room, just unofficially, within our circles. This is Brad's little...
I didn't name it that.
He didn't name it that. We named it that. But so many aspects of this room here just really show his artistry, his incredible creativity, and his incredible finesse as a very, very skilled tradesman. So it's been an absolute honour to work alongside this fella as well as all the other team that I've mentioned. And Brad has become like a brother to me, like a mate, a comrade, and a trusted friend. And I think we ought to put our hands together for the leadership that this guy has shown.
Thank you, everyone. I don't have the words to, haven't prepared the words to acknowledge Steve, and maybe no one could actually adequately put the words together for what Steve's put into this. So I just wanted to say one more thing, that to all the people that I've worked closely with throughout this whole project, it has been an absolute privilege to work alongside you. And a special privilege and a highlight to actually get to know you more. It wasn't solely about getting the work done. We coupled that with actually getting to know one another and walking with one another and looking out for one another. And we did that in a coffee way. We did that in emotional ways, in just check-in ways. You know, there was a very good understanding atmosphere, and it was so good to hear from some of the people who've come and worked here, like and Ben and Adam, and you know, a whole bunch of these tradies here, of how much they've enjoyed this work environment. And that's a testament to the culture that was set here from the beginning, the culture of this place, which preceded the flood, and so that was all wonderful. And I've been particularly valued the conversations about the deeper questions of life and the meaning of life that I've actually been able to share with these people. It seems like there was a great openness to talk about those things and spiritual conversations and things like that. So going forward, certainly encourage more pursuit of that, more walking with each other in the great work that we do. So that's all.